Hello students. Yesterday we started our unit 6. We have the title of the unit, which is the gender divide. We had our discussion about the gender divide in general, and we have an idea about the differences that we have here between genders. Now moving on, we have our homework. The homework that we have is basically the vocabulary that we discussed yesterday and we explained. We have your exercise on page number 83. On page number 83, you can see that we have here our words, which are anxiety, gender, repetitive, stereotype, temperament, capacity, intensity, restless, and tedious. Now moving on, we have our exercise, which is to fill in the blanks with the suitable word. So just to see the first one, we have here the blank that blonde-haired people are not smart is ridiculous. So we have an opinion here or a kind of idea that is ridiculous. So we can see that the most suitable word is stereotype. We were bored and blank, so we decided to find something to do. We were bored and we can see that there is some kind of feeling that is bothering. So we can say that we have here we were bored and restless. That film is very blank. It shows the same place over and over. Now when we say that something is over and over, we have here something that is repetitive. Now moving on, we have here I always feel overwhelming the night before a test. Now the night before a test, we can feel that there is some kind of feeling that can be an anxiety. The blank of the thunderstorm made the animals nervous. So what can we say here? We have here something that is a little bit scary. We can say that there is something that is a little bit noisy, so we can hear the intensity. So we have here the intensity of the thunderstorm. Because the intensity or the power of the thunderstorm was loud, it was scary, the animals became nervous. Number 6, some people believe that animals have the blank to feel the same emotions that humans do. So we have here something related to emotions, and we have animals, humans, they both can feel the same thing or they can have the capacity. Lucia has a lovely blank. She's always happy and smiling. So we are talking about Lucia's character here. And we can say another word, she has a lovely temperament. Finding sources for an essay can be a time-consuming and blank task. So some tasks, they are boring, or we can say tedious. The blank of an animal often has a specific name. For example, male horse is a stallion and a female horse is a mare. So here we can say the gender of the animal. So you know now that even the word gender, it can be called for human beings or we can also use it for animals. Now this was the vocabulary part that we have here. Now how is your studying mainly? We are about to end our semester. You will forget to revise the lesson if you keep wasting time on games. You will forget revising the lesson if you are not paying attention. Amal remembers to revise grammar weekly. Amal remembers revising the part about infinitives and gerunds. Ahmed tried to understand by himself. Ahmed tried understanding the rules from the Ain lessons without asking the teacher. They have stopped to take a break from studying. They have stopped taking breaks all the time and concentrated more on studying. The teachers regret to tell students that they have failed the exam. The teachers regret telling students that they have failed the exam when they feel upset. It is not easy. Now here, in this part, you can see that all the examples that you read, they are basically associated with the grammar lesson that we took yesterday, we have the 5 verbs that we mentioned. We have here regret, forget, we have also remember, we have stopped, and we have here try. Now these 5 verbs here, we said that we can put them in the sentence with a gerund or an infinitive, as we had in our examples. So you can see that we use the infinitive, which is to plus a verb functioning as a noun, or we have the verb plus ing, which also functions as a noun. So we are going to just take a look at the examples that we have here in the book. Yesterday we did 3 exercises here. Page number 84. You can see that we have here number 4. He'll never forget to score or scoring that goal in the last minute of the game. So here we can see that we are going to choose based on the meaning of the sentence. So something that he will never forget. So we're going to say that we have here scoring that goal because it's going to be a memory here. Don't forget to email or emailing me the photos. So specifically, I am going to send these photos that I have here. So how do I send them? It's not mentioned in the sentence. That's why I can choose here to email. We regret to inform or informing you that your application has been declined. Now we have here bad news. We have something that is not something that we want to do, so we can say that we have here to inform you. Now we do have other exercises in the book for the grammar. You have on page number 58 to answer personal questions about yourself using either the gerund or the infinitive here. Now we can say, for example, number 2, what is something you forgot to do recently? I can answer, I forgot to go to my doctor's appointment. Or we can say, for example, number 6, what is something you regret doing? I regret not taking a course that was very useful. So these are personal answers that you can use either with the infinitive or the gerund. We do have also on page number 85 to turn this sentence or rewrite them in the passive sentence, as you can see here. Now here it depends on the basic sentence. So you can see that we have the examples and of course the answers here. So just to show how we did it, let's see number 3. He waited for his boss to invite him to sit down. Now remember that we are turning these sentences into passive, so you are going to take out the subject and you are going to focus on the sentence, the basic one. Is it using a gerund or an infinitive? So you can see in number 3, he waited for his boss to invite him to sit down. We do have the infinitive, which is going to be used also in the past. So you are going to use to be, and you are going to turn the verb into the past participle. So we have the answer. He waited to be invited to sit down. Now you can see that you're going to use either to be or being based on the basic sentence that you have here in the exercise. Moving on, we have also page number 85. Now complete each sentence with names of classmates and the appropriate auxiliary verb. When appropriate, use to or either after the auxiliary verb. So we have here, it depends on using either and or but in the sentence. And here you can compare or you can use the sentences talking about any one of your classmates. So for example, we have here number 1, Omar lives close to school, but Ali doesn't. We use the auxiliary verb at the very end. Adwa was in school yesterday and Reem was too. Bandar is wearing blue today, but Abdullah isn't. Number 4, Rawan never comes to class late and Maha doesn't either. So you can see that we used doesn't, we used was, we used also isn't, and we added either to or either, based on what is the sentence. So we have here, these are basic examples. Now, moving on and finishing the grammar report that we have here, there is a question for you. Imagine that you are going out the house and suddenly you realize that you are wearing 2 different shoes. You are going to go to a formal place or a formal event here, and you are wearing something which is like this picture here. Now we can see that this is quite outlandish. Now, what is your reaction? What would you do? We are going to talk about different reactions. And basically, because we are talking about different genders in the unit, we have also different reactions for people. So how would you react? We have here different situations. How would you react to them? So let's say, for example, that we have here a car accident or a crash. Someone stole your wallet, a very important appointment. We can see also losing keys or having an exam. Now, people, they do have different reactions for these situations or incidents. Now, we are going to move on. Think about how would you react. And since we are talking about reactions, do you think there is a gender difference in the reactions? Do you think that males and females react differently to different things? Now, this is going to be the part that we have here in our conversation. We have our conversation lesson for the day. Our objectives are going to be to answer questions and express opinions about reactions. Give the meanings of words and expressions. Use real talk and specific phrases in sentences. Ask for and give directions. So since we are talking about different reactions, we need to know, or just to be introduced to our characters who are going to be in the conversation. We do have these two characters who are Faisal and Fahad. Now, Faisal and Fahad here, they are going to pass by a gas station, as you can see, and we have here the attendant. We can see that there is something concerning directions here. So we are going to listen to the conversation between them. Now watch out for the highlighted and underlined text that you have here within the conversation. We are going to focus on the real talk, and also we have different phrases. So we're going to start.
I don't know why Google Maps can't find Lakeside Drive. I think we'd better stop and ask directions.
Don't worry. I'm sure I can find it. Let's try going this way.
I think we're lost. Look, there's a gas station. Let's pull over and ask someone.
Oh, all right.
You look lost.
You can say that again. We're looking for Lakeside Drive.
I know this town like the back of my hand, and I can tell you that there's no street by that name. Do you mean Riverside Drive?
Oh yeah. That must be it. I just got the street name wrong.
Can you tell us how to get there?
It's not far. It's just over on the other side of town. You need to turn left out of here. Then go straight for a couple of miles. Keep going until you see an ice cream shop. If you pass Town Hall, you've gone too far. Take the first left after the ice cream shop, and you'll be on Riverside Drive.
Thanks. I guess it's a good thing I suggested we stop for directions. We would have been driving in circles for ages.
Don't make a big deal about it. I'm sure I would have figured it out eventually.
Now, about the conversation. We have these two young men. They were lost. They asked for directions. And you can see that there are some parts that were highlighted and also underlined. So first of all, we have a question. Number one, how do Faisal and Fahad react differently to being lost? You can see that one of them has a different reaction. He may be more worried than the other. Why couldn't they find the street they were looking for? So what do you think the first or the basic reason was? Do you think there was something wrong? Did they have the wrong name for the street? How does each of them feel about having stopped to get directions? So you can see that one of them was happy, and the other one, he saw that it wasn't a very big deal. Now, the most important part that we have here is going to be basically about the real talk. Now, we have interesting phrases in the real talk. Now, first, we have the first one. When you say that you know something like the back of your, or I can say at the back of my hand, it means actually to know something very well. So when I say that I know something very well as the back of my hand, I have something that is very clear, or I know it very well. We have the other picture here. You can say that again. Now, if someone says something to me and I reply, you can say that again. It actually means that I agree with you completely. Now, here in this picture, you can see that there are different ages for a person, starting from an infant or a baby here to an old man. Now, when I say that I have been doing something for ages, or I have been lost for ages, it actually means that it has been happening for a very long time. So it's just an expression to show that something has been happening for a very long time, but of course it doesn't mean literally the different ages that we have. Now you can see that we have here a map. We have here location. Now you can see that we have here two locations. One is here and the other is over here. Now over is used to emphasize on location. When you say that I have a book or I have something over there, you are emphasizing the location of what you are talking about. The last one, to make a big deal about something, is actually making something small seem very important. When I mention to you that we are making a very big deal about being lost, it means that it is something simple and we are making it bigger. So we do have our 5 expressions, the real talk expressions, that are very interesting. And you can see that we mentioned something about location and about giving or asking for directions. So basically in your book, you do have the table asking for directions or giving directions. For example, am I headed in the right direction? Can you tell me how to get to, or I'm looking for? On the other hand, when I am giving directions, I do have more options. Go straight, you can go left. If you see something, you've gone too far, we can say also to take left or take right. When you get to a location, you will see something else. So we are going to apply what we have here. You do have the instructions in the book to role play with a partner. Ask your partner how to get to his or her home or some other destination from your school. Your partner will give you directions. Use phrases from the box. So we do have an example here just to use our directions. We are going to mention something about directions to the new cafe. Now I can start by asking someone, I'm looking for the new cafe. Can you tell me how to get there? Now, since I am going to give directions, I do have lots of options. Now, for example, we can say, go straight on this street until you get to the traffic light. Take right after the traffic light, then take left after the next one. Keep going until you come to the end of the street. When you get to the end, you'll see a park on the right. Go straight and you will find the cafe on your left. If you pass the park, you've gone too far. Make a U-turn and the cafe will be on your right. So you can see that I have the complete directions and the phrases that we have in the book all mentioned here in our directions to the cafe. Now, this is just one example. You can have other examples. So since we are talking about cars here and about going places and maps, we are on the road. So we are going to take our road here and move on to something else. Now we are mentioning driving from one place to another. Actually, when you think about drivers, you can see that there are different types of drivers. We have someone who is calm, they be very relaxed while driving. Someone can be very tense and surprised. We can see someone who is happy. Some people, they get angry while driving. So they do have different reflexes. So when they have, or they are actually on the road, people have different reflexes. We have reflexes means how to deal with the street and the other cars that are surrounded. We are moving on. You can see from this picture, we are still comparing, as we compared between Fahad and Faisal. We compared between genders in general. We have here a comparison between two types of drivers. We have here the old driver, as you can see from the picture, and we have here a younger driver. So moving on with our lesson, we have the second part of our lesson, which is about different reactions. Now this is the part that we have in the listening lesson. We have one basic objective, which is to answer and correct true and false statements. Now in your book, we have the listening part. Listen to the morning news show discussion about the different strategies used by the new and experienced drivers. Then answer true or false. If the sentence is false, rewrite it with the correct information. So we are going to learn more about a kind of book that we have here, or there is a kind of interview. We are going to listen, and we do know that there is a comparison between new drivers and experienced or old drivers. So we have here the true or false statements. We are going to listen to the conversation, and then we will see which one is true and which one is false, and we will correct. Moving on.
Good morning, and welcome to MChat. I'm your host, Ken Larder, and today we're talking with Kevin Shields, the author of Young and Mature Drivers, Driving Each Other Crazy, a fascinating new book about the sometimes incompatible differences between young and older drivers. Kevin, good morning, and welcome to the show.
Thanks! Glad to be here.
Kevin, I want to begin by asking you about one of the major issues the book focuses on, the difference between younger and older drivers' approach to danger while driving. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Yes, I'd be happy to. It's long been suspected that men of different generations have different ways of reacting to obstacles and potential dangers. Research has indicated that these differences are probably real. They reveal that experienced drivers tend to have a better sense of the parameters involved in each situation and react intuitively.
So, this means that experienced drivers have better reflexes, doesn't it?
Certainly not. Experienced drivers simply have encountered similar obstacles or dangers before and have developed a number of strategies. Intuition, as we all know, often has to do with accumulated knowledge and a range of experiences. Younger drivers normally have faster reflexes, but they need to process all the information on the spot and make a decision that they have probably not had to make before. So, it is a more conscious process in their case that sometimes increases stress or fear, depending on the individual.
So then it seems neither group has a total advantage in such cases, do they?
Well, the strategies experienced drivers use does give them an advantage when having to regain control of the car or dealing with spillage that makes the road slippery or driving on ice.
I remember hearing that experienced drivers usually have lower car insurance premiums than new drivers. That's true, isn't it?
Yes, it is, provided that the experienced driver has a clean record, with no major accidents.
That's a bit unfair for new drivers, isn't it? I mean, it makes it considerably more expensive for a younger person who doesn't really learn much if they have a job.
Not really. While young drivers have quicker reflexes, they also tend to take greater risks and get into more accidents. Older drivers are more cautious, and so get into fewer accidents. So new drivers have their strengths, and experienced drivers do too. Each group deserves to be given credit for what they do well.
So each group is the better driver in their own way, aren't they?
Exactly.
Now going back to our statements that we have here in the book, we have the sentences. We are going to decide which one is true and which one is false, we have, based on what we heard, the conversation or the interview between the two people. First, Kevin Shields is the host of the show. So did you notice or listen to the introduction when we have the mentioning of the names here? Now we have actually Kevin and Ken. So when we have the first part, we can see that the first one is false. Why? Because the person is Ken Larder. He is the host of the show. Number two, the book they are discussing was written a long time ago. So actually, even this one is false because we listened and we heard that the book is new. Number three, new and experienced drivers use different driving strategies. So we can see that this one is true. Experienced drivers seem to be better able to deal with difficult situations. Now we have listened to this part and also this one is true. Older drivers' reflexes are as fast as younger drivers. So we did mention the word reflex from the very start. Now we have this statement is actually false because it was mentioned that younger drivers have faster reflexes. Why? Because the older drivers, they are actually used to driving and they have more experience, which makes their reflexes different. Number six, new drivers tend to get more stressed and frightened when dealing with dangerous situations. So based on number five, this one is true. We have the last part, number seven, experienced drivers normally have lower insurance premiums than older drivers, and this one is also true. So we have these sentences. I hope that you just check your answers and make sure to correct the false statements as we have been asked in the book. Now we are talking about driving. We are talking about cars. So we are going to relate our last part of the lesson to speaking and conversation as we have before. Now you know that there is a very important relationship or a link between speaking in general, having a conversation, and the basic part in both to have the correct kind of interaction between people is to have the correct pronunciation. So we are going to move on with our new part, and we are speaking actually about cars. So since we are speaking, there is a kind of comparison here we can relate. So let's just read together. Speech is made up of words, but words on their own are not much use. We can compare them with parts of a car. If we know how to put the parts together, we have a car. And with a car, we go places. Just like cars have different parts, speech is made up of different words. If we put them together, we have meaning, and with language, we change the world. So we are talking about cars, we're talking about drivers. Let's just imagine that we are drivers and we are dealing with different parts of a cars. We cannot move on unless we have the correct parts, and each part is in its correct place. It's the same way when you want to use your language, you have to make sure that you have your vocabulary, your grammar, and of course, your pronunciation. So we have here in our lesson to make your speaking meaning, we have here the car. To make it move faster and smoother, you need the right pronunciation. So you do have your vocabulary, you do know your grammar, but to make it correctly and to make it smooth, you do have to make your pronunciation faster and clear, of course. So we have here, as we decided or we have agreed before, that you will make your pronunciation smooth. You have to make sure that it is not choppy, you are not speaking like a robot, and you have to learn how to make your speaking natural. Now moving on with our lesson, or the part of the lesson actually, which is related to the parts that we have studied before, you can see that we have practiced to pronounce the letter R correctly. We have also how to pronounce 3 ways for the ED, how to relate or link and pronounce consonant clusters, And we have also to link between vowels. And we had in Unit 5 how to pronounce to correctly. And you know that we have different ways to pronounce to. So we have 1 point left in our last unit here, which is actually related to the pronunciation lesson. Now here in this part, you can see this boy. Now you can see that he is skating. He is using this kind of board. Now when we just see this kind of board here, you can see that you need something here. You need balance. So sometimes this balance can go high, it can go low. Either ways, it totally gives you something very different. So what are we going to do with our pronunciation? We are going to balance. We are going to sometimes speak on the same rhythm or the same balance. Sometimes we can make it high and other times we can make it low. Now this is the part that we have here. The more rising and falling you have in your speaking, the more you can do with your communication in the English language. Now just to make it very clear, what is the difference between these two marks? We have here the question mark and we do have the exclamation mark. Just to make it very clear, we do have something very simple. We are going to see what is going to happen. So one time I'm going to use just the question mark, one time the exclamation mark, and the other or the third time we are going to join them together and see what will happen. We have here a very short phrase here, right now. So if I'm asking a question, I can say right now. If I want it to be used with an exclamation mark, I can say right now. And I can join them together and saying right now, which gives you the tense or the tone of the surprising here, as well as the question. So one time I have here, right now, right now, right now. You can see that there is a difference in my tone. One time it is high and the other time it is low. Now this is what we call here intonation. Now intonation here is, or describes actually, how the voice rises and falls in speech. There are main patterns of intonation in English, including falling intonation and rising intonation. So now you have a complete idea about speaking. You can speak on the same rhythm. Sometimes you can make it higher and sometimes make it lower. Now we are going to listen again to parts of the listening script that we took, and just make sure that you have the rhythm or the higher and lower part that I want you to focus on. So just listen to them.
So, this means that experienced drivers have better reflexes, doesn't it? So then it seems neither group has a total advantage in such cases, do they? I remember hearing that experienced drivers usually have lower car insurance premiums than new drivers. That's true, isn't it? So each group is the better driver in their own way, aren't they?
Now in these sentences, you can see that we have here tag questions at the very end. And you listen to the script, you can see that at the very end, the tone is different. We are going to move on and see. We have the rhythm or the tone that we are talking about, which we call the intonation. Now we are specifically going to talk about intonation in tag questions. Our objective for the pronunciation part in our lesson, which is to ask tag questions with the correct form of intonation. Now tag questions. As you have seen, when I displayed here the sentences that we have in the conversation, tag questions are added on or at the end of a statement. They are tagged on, turning the statement into a question. Like for example, you studied that, didn't you? So you can say here the same statement but in another way. I can ask you, you studied that, didn't you? Or you studied that, didn't you? So one time I have it high, You studied that, didn't you? And the other time was lower. You studied that, didn't you? So we are going to see what or why do we have this kind of high and low. Speakers use question tags chiefly to make sure their information is correct or to seek an argument. Now, tag questions follow a certain pattern for negative and affirmative answers. So basically, it depends on the answer that we have here. A negative tag is used with an affirmative statement, whereas a positive tag is used with a negative statement. It's important to use the correct intonation with tag questions. So we are going to focus on intonation. We are going to set the tone of our speaking. Now we have two types, as we mentioned. We have rising, and also we have here falling or lowering. Now let's see here. In the following examples, rising intonation on the tag indicates a genuine question. The speaker isn't sure that the statement is correct and requires an answer from the listener. So we have here the rising if I am not sure of my answer, if I am not sure of the information, I have to make the tone higher or rising. So let's see the examples here. They study in London, don't they? We're working tomorrow, aren't we? It was cold yesterday, wasn't it? You can see from the three examples that we have here that I am raising my tone here at the very end, which is the tag question. He went to the event last night, didn't he? We were waiting for the results, weren't we? They've been to Japan, haven't they? So here we have these examples. We are actually raising the tone. Now let's see the other part. In the following examples, falling intonation on the question tag gives the impression that the statement is correct. So when I have a falling intonation, I am actually sure of the answer, but I'm just going to make sure that my answer is correct. So it's like just making sure of a part that I am already familiar with. She doesn't have any children, does she? The bus isn't coming, isn't it? Or is it, sorry, here. We have here, she wasn't at home yesterday, was she? So just focus on the tone. To make you understand the difference here, we can just compare. So let's just focus on here. You weren't sleeping. I'm going to pronounce that once with a rising tone and the other time with a falling tone. You weren't sleeping, were you? Or I can say, you weren't sleeping, were you? So basically here, it's not about the answer or just having or forming the question of the tag here. I am just focusing on the pronunciation. If I am rising, I don't know the answer, or I am not sure of the answer. But if it is a falling tone here, I am sure I know the answer, but I just want someone to confirm. Now, as we said, we do need our tone in speech. We want it at the same time to have the kind of flow. We are not making our sentences choppy. We do need to link, and also we have the type of moving on and linking together. We are making our pronunciation flow together, linking together, and even sometimes we linked some words together as we did with vowels. So we have all our ideas joined together. We do have our exercise on page number 87. So you are going to practice. We have here the sentences from 1 to 5. Just practice the tag questions that we have here, and we are going to practice together in the next lesson, inshallah. At the very end, our outline for the day, we have first of all our conversation part where we had the part about giving and asking directions, we listened, answered questions, and predicted meanings of words from the text. We built conversations using phrases and applied real talk in sentences. Then we moved on to the listening part, where we had an interview basically about driving. There was a book, and we corrected some false statements. And in the last part, we have here the pronunciation part, which is the intonation in tag questions, where we have two types of intonation. We have the rising, and we have here the falling. So we have applied all our skills that we have here. We did our listening, our speaking. You did have your writing part and also the reading within the lessons. So focus on our pronunciation exercise, and we will complete in the next lesson, inshallah.